Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. All right. I wanted to change it up.
Okay.
Needed to add some more energy to start this one. I just woke up from a nap. Carter is in an apartment, and he's tired. And college is beating us up. So, welcome back. That was a very Squidward entrance of me. I was proud of that one.
Yes, it was.
I don't have the nose, but I definitely have the arms. All right. All right. So first thing we're going to talk about is the unwritten rules of baseball. Pat, what do you think of them? I think they're stupid. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say it's a sport. Like you're there to hit the baseball. You're there to win. Why let up? Why show mercy? Really?
Yeah.
I
think that we brought this up because over the past week, the Padres, Fernando Tatis Jr. got hate for swinging on a 3-0 pitch, and he hit a grand slam off of it. He got hate for it. They were also 7-0 up. Or 7-4 up or something like that. So they were winning the game. But and people were saying that it was bad etiquette because it was against the unwritten rules of baseball. And we just wanted to open up the podcast with that because it's like we wanted to talk about whether unwritten rules of baseball are a good idea or a bad idea. And I think they're incredibly stupid because I saw one guy tweet, it's like, the unwritten rules of baseball are why no one watches baseball. Like, because
right.
You don't see, like, Fernando Tatis Jr. hitting a grand slam, whether that was against the rules, if that was a first inning, ninth inning, who cares? He hit a grand slam. That's impressive.
Right. Like if they were good rules, then they wouldn't be unwritten. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like if they would help the game, then they would be written down. Yeah. Like it's almost like they wanted mercy. Like it sounds to me like they were screaming mercy, like, oh, here's a 3-0 pitch. We're already down. Please don't hit this ball. Please, don't embarrass me like that. Mercy, mercy, like uncle. They're calling uncle.
Yeah.
Like why? What if? I mean, you always have to win. No matter if it's etiquette or not. It's a sport. Yes, if it's against, if it's dirty, if you're taking somebody out, injuring a player, if you're, doing something dangerous or something that is against the written rules, then yes, that's not okay. Mm-hmm. But if all you're doing is swinging at a 3-0 pitch, then swing away.
Yeah. I think it's also with like what you mentioned, like I think there's some unwritten rule where it's like to stop a double play, you slide into second base, like you slide into the second baseman. And I get that one because like that hurts someone. But also I feel like if people stopped caring about unwritten rules in baseball, I think baseball would be a lot more exciting because like what Fernando Tatis Jr. did was cool, not only because he hit a grand slam, and also, by the way, Padres are the only team in MLB history to hit 4 grand slams in 4 straight games. And he like, it's cool because he hits that. A, he hits a grand slam, and B, like he pissed off the other guy. And sports is all about conflict. The fact that he can piss someone off or like throw the whole league.
Get in their head.
Exactly. He's living there rent free. Like that pitcher is off his rocker because that man just hit a grand slam off of him.
Right. And like they were on a 5-game losing streak. So like hitting that grand slam gives them momentum.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're on a 5-game losing streak. Yeah, we're probably going to win this game, but let's win this game let's dominate in this game, hoping that we can carry that domination into the next couple of games. So like like that article said, was the atmosphere on the bus, was lively because they just won a great game
Yeah.
and they hit that grand slam.
Yeah.
So like it's not only you're not only playing that one game, but you're also playing for the you're
You're
trying to
setting up your
gain
next game.
momentum. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, you're setting up your next game. And I mean, I don't know. I think baseball's unwritten rules are also I think baseball has a lot of things that they need to change. Like they got to make the games faster. They got to make it so like the pitcher doesn't have
Yeah.
7 minute. I mean, obviously I'm not a baseball player, so I don't understand all the like intricacies of it, but like dude, unless you're in person, baseball's horrible. Baseball's horrible to watch. But I
It's
mean like
I've never sat through an entire game of baseball.
I've never done it
Not
on
once in
TV.
my life.
I've done it in real life. I've been to like Orioles games and watched the
Yeah.
whole thing. But like on TV, I'm not gonna sit there and watch someone throw a rock over and over again at
Sure,
a
and then wait 5 minutes, and then another one gets thrown.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but I also like to go along with this and to segue into our next topic. Like it's good to see like a conflict, like Fernando Tatis breaking a rule and doing something he's not supposed to, because like that's how every sport evolves. Like everyone hates the bad boys in basketball. Like they hate the Detroit Pistons when they're the bad
Yeah.
boys. But also without the bad boys, you don't have the conflict with Jordan, and then Jordan
Right.
doesn't get to be a better player, and like it helps the game get better and better and better, and like you got to push the rules to change the game.
Right. And Isaiah Thomas, you know, um, Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas hated each other, but they respected each other.
Yeah,
Like not necessarily while they were playing, they hated each other too much. But now Michael
yeah,
Jordan's like, okay, Isaiah Thomas helped me develop into the person I was by being, mean, by being dirty,
yeah,
and it's it helps, like you said, it helps evolve the game and the player.
yeah. And I mean like sports is always about that conflict, and I think there's always a sense like there has to be a every sport has a Goliath and has a bully ball like mentality, and like Detroit Pistons were the bullies, and then like in football you can look at like the Raiders used to be bullies in football in like the 90s, and then you have all these teams. It's like without that bully or like that big team, then there's no moments you have like the Giants beating the Patriots where it's like, oh my god, the Giants beat the Patriots in a Super Bowl when they're about to go 18-0.
Right.
So it's like you need people to break these rules so then the game can develop and develop and develop and develop and develop.
Right. And it makes it more interesting. And yeah.
Yeah. Because if you're watching a game and you know the unwritten rule that he's not supposed to swing on a 3-0 pitch, and you're watching him and he doesn't swing on a 3-0 pitch, you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
Like that
But
moment, that
if
moment
he
is
does,
not memorable. We're not talking about that moment
right.
if he doesn't swing on it. Um, but yeah. So back to the segue I was talking about. Jordan, Pistons, NBA. The playoffs so far. See, Pat, what you think?
Um, it's been interesting. First time or second time ever that the one seeds lost their first game. Go, not Pistons. Go Portland. Like I said in the last one, Portland has a chance.
Portland has a chance.
That's what I'm saying. Um, but no, it's honestly it's about what I expected it to be. Um, other than Milwaukee, but I think they'll. I mean, they're fine. They
Yeah,
lost their first game, but it's fine.
yeah. Giannis will Giannis, and it'll be fine.
Right.
Um, I so we wrote down some stuff. Like I think the biggest shock was to me the Orlando Magic beating the Bucks because I was like, wow, I didn't think the Orlando Magic were still a team. To be honest, I didn't even know they made the
Right.
playoffs until I googled the bracket.
Yeah.
Um, and then I'd probably say them, and then the Jazz have played really well. I think they're up 2-1 against the Nuggets,
Yeah,
and
they
I was
are, and
like,
they
there you go.
by the amount that they won by in the last game, they should be up 3-1. Like, good God, they blew them out by like 36 or something.
Yeah, they
It's crazy.
destroyed them.
I have Denver winning that. I have Denver winning that matchup,
You think
that
so?
series.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the Jazz, but that's because I'm a huge Donovan Mitchell fan. I think he got snubbed on the Rookie of the Year. But I think the Jazz could pull through. The only player on the Jazz I don't like is Rudy Gobert, just because I think he's a very archaic player. Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's just a big. Like he's not like a
Right.
Porzingis kind of player.
Yeah. I am a big Joker fan. He's just plays exciting basketball.
Dude,
Just
he's
pretty basketball. It's
yeah.
very flowy.
He's very smooth with his movements.
I like the way that team plays. Kind of fundamental basketball, especially in the past couple of years. They're big pick and roll team.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of ball movement, stuff like that. They play well together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, when I see looking at the matchups right now, I'm just gonna go through quickly and say which ones I think are going through. So I think Lakers are still gonna get it. I think Trailblazers will take them to a series. At most, I
yeah,
see Game 6. I don't think they make it to Game 7.
yeah,
Um,
I could agree with that. I hope it's not true.
yeah. Rocket Thunder. I think Rockets. I think Thunder have done well to get to the point where they're at, but I think they're out of their depth with how good the Rockets are.
Definitely. And the Rockets thing is about the Rockets is they're not even that good on paper. They don't have a big right now. Russ was out, and I think he's still out.
Hmm.
But they have certain pieces that fit, and where they don't need a big necessarily. I don't think they're championship material, but I think they're better than OKC for sure.
Yeah, it's the D'Antonio effect. Like he's a very good offensive coach, and if you can't keep up, he will blow your socks off every game.
Right.
Um,
But that is kind of a cool series to watch because of the tension between
Chris
Chris
Paul.
Paul and the Rockets.
Yeah, Chris Paul to me is like Joker. Like he's the Joker. He's like very smooth. It's like
Very
the
smooth.
game goes so. It's like the game is in slow motion for him, and he always knows the right thing to do.
I think if you were learning the game of basketball and you didn't know what a point guard was, then you should only watch Chris Paul's highlights because Chris Paul protects the ball like it's his son. He
Yeah,
has for his career, he averages like 2.6 turnovers a game, and
yeah,
that's as a point guard. Like you're gonna make mistakes, but Chris Paul just doesn't.
yeah. It's
And
impressive
he's
stuff.
small. He helps his team. He's old. I mean, he's out of his prime, really,
Yeah,
and he's still doing work. Like I think he is a picture perfect point guard.
yeah.
That
He's the point guard that Naismith envisioned when he wrote the rules of basketball.
right.
Um,
Um, yeah,
yeah. So Nuggets Jazz. We just talked about. I'm Jazz. Carter's Nuggets.
I'm definitely Nuggets. Yeah, but
I think that's
I
a very
think
good series.
yeah,
Because man, that first game, I was watching some of it. I mean, it was like fireworks back and forth.
yeah.
Like Donovan Mitchell scores, and then we go back and Murray scores, and then Donovan Mitchell
Murray.
scores.
It was literally
He was on
whoever shot
fire.
the ball last. Honestly,
Exactly. That's why I was watching the game. I was like, all right, whoever gets the last possession wins the game.
yeah.
Um, and then we have Clippers Mavericks. I think that one's pretty easy. I think the Clippers are the best team in the playoffs right now.
Um, I would disagree with that just because not Chris Paul. Paul George is not playing well right now,
Mm-hmm.
but the Mavs have been in every game. they should have won the first game. Like Doc Rivers even said it himself. The Clippers should have been down 0-2. Um, do I think that the Mavs will win that series now? But I think the Clippers should be beating the Mavs more than they are. Also, Luka might be hurt, or he is hurt. He got hurt last night, sprained left ankle.
Yeah.
I think it's still playable. I mean, I think he's gonna play, but that hurts. That hurts bad.
Yeah. Left
Um,
ankles are twisting an
yeah,
ankle is so painful to watch.
right. But no, I would like to see the Clippers be playing better.
Yeah.
Um, they have on like not necessarily on paper, but they have the ability to win, to be the best team in the playoffs. But I think right now they need to step it up just a notch.
Yeah. No, I think on paper they are the best team. I mean, you have the best coach, arguably, in the league remaining in the playoffs because Greg Popovich ain't in it, and he would be my first pick.
Right.
Then you have he's still a reigning world champion and one
Right.
of the best players. And then you also have Paul George, and Paul George and Kawhi are like two slices of the same pie. Like they're very good wing
Yeah.
defenders who can score. So it's like, and with Pat Beverly, I mean, I like their team because I think it's like they're a well-rounded team. It's not like they can only score
Yeah.
or only defend.
Patrick Beverly got that calf injury, and Doc Rivers is scared about it. Doc
That would be
Rivers
an
does
interesting
not
one.
trust it. So I don't know how much longer he'll be out, but he's missed 2 games in a row, and
Yeah,
Doc Rivers did not seem too happy about it.
yeah, their bench
But
is
yeah,
good
you're
though.
right. They are a very good defensive team, and like I said, they're not playing as good as they could be right now, in my opinion. But they're playing good enough to beat the Mavs, and they'll be just fine.
Yeah. All right, now up to the East. Bucks versus Magic. What do you think?
I mean, obviously the Bucks are gonna win, but it's just it. I don't know why they lost that first game. I think it was just I don't know if they were scared. I don't know.
I feel like I was watching a bit of the game. I think it's more of they like I don't want to say they didn't show up, but I feel like they took the pedal off. They took their foot off the gas. Like they were
Right,
like, "Oh, this is just the Magic. Like they're the AC. We can stomp them." And then
right,
the Magic came in and like played them tough and were shooting well. And it's like, okay, no, you can't just walk into the second round.
right. You're every team's still an NBA team, right?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, I don't think they'll have any problem. They're fine. Don't
yeah,
worry about the Bucks.
yeah. I think Bucks easy, easy. If it takes the Bucks 6 games, they had a bad series.
Right.
All right, Pacers versus Heat. This is an interesting one. I like this matchup.
Yeah. I I'm a Jimmy Butler fan. I like the way he plays. I like his attitude. He said that the Heat is a good match for him because he can cuss anybody out if they're not doing their job, and they can also cuss him out if he's not doing his job. So um uh I like his relationship with the Heat, and I think they'll win that series.
Yeah, I think I'm going with you. I think the Heat win. I think it could be one um, that could go deep, but I also see the Heat kind of overpowering them because like the Heat are another one of those teams where they're like well-rounded, they're deep, they have a good bench.
Yeah,
Like, and also I love Spoelstra as a head coach.
yeah. I also think that series is a series that doesn't necessarily matter.
No, I think the Heat will be good to get out of the first round. They might sneak out of the second round if they can, depending on who they match up against. But after that, I think it's a
Well, and it's the East.
yeah. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. They could because it's the East. You never know who sneaks out of the East. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm with you. I like Jimmy Butler. I like Tyler Hero. He's such a annoying kid, but he's also like I like the
Yeah,
way he plays.
I can't stand him because he's from Kentucky.
Oh
I
yeah.
hate him. But
I just love the
you know,
way he plays. He's very smooth, and I like that he's a very well-rounded player. Well,
oh, he's
okay,
definitely a
minus
shooter.
defense. Yeah. Um. But yeah, so I think Heat easily take. I think Heat definitely take that one. All right, Celtics versus 76ers. That one's already 3-0. So technically,
It's
in the
over.
lore of the NBA, it's over.
Yeah. Yeah. uh, Celtics look good right now. The
They look
Sixers
really
do not.
good.
That's the Sixers were in trouble when Ben Simmons went out. Anyways, uh, they're just not. Uh, they're just not as good as they should be. Honestly,
Okay,
I
good.
mean, I
That's
know
what I
Ben
think
Simmons
too.
is out. You're right. Their best player, but still, like, you can't win a game.
Yeah,
It's the Celtics are too good. I think they would have won the series even with Ben Simmons in. But
I think it could have been a lot
if I was
closer though.
if I was a Philly fan, I'd be disappointed in my team right now.
All right, this team, the 76ers, like I people also forget that they did make the Eastern Conference Finals last year, and if it weren't for a lucky bounce off the rim, they very well could have either won or just lost in the NBA Finals.
Right.
Um, but also like they went from the worst team in like statistically ever to like an underrated team of young players. And now I feel like they just like went straight to overrated, and it kind of annoys me now because like Joel Embiid, I like watching the way he plays, but he also kind of annoys me. Like I'm not a big fan of like certain things he does.
Right.
But I'm also like that team is like everyone hails them as one of the best teams, but then like for instance, Simmons can't shoot. I mean, I probably have the same 3-point percentage as that man. And
Yeah.
then it's like I don't know. I think that team has a lot of work, and I think a lot of times people think that they're championship contenders, but I don't think they've. I don't even think they're close.
The argument against that would be that last year they played the world champion as close as anybody did. So if Kawhi doesn't make that shot, does Philly win in overtime, and then does Philly win the championship? You
Yeah,
can't tell. Kawhi made the shot. The Raptors won. Anyways, it's just like they're not. They're just like you said. They went from um, you know underrated, and now they really have gone up this much, like level wise. Now I agree
inability.
they
Yeah,
are overrated now, but like they had potential. They have potential. They're just not using it right now.
yeah. I I think it's two reasons. I think A, they need a scorer. They need like a pure scorer that's not Joel Embiid. So like they
Right?
need the third piece to the trident that every team's looking for. Um, I honestly think LaMelo would be a great player on that team, but there's no way he's getting to that team. Um, but I think they need a trident. They need that third scorer because Simmons is a good facilitator, but until he figures out how to shoot, he's not a fan. He's not an amazing scorer.
Yeah.
Um, but I also think they need a better head coach. I think that the Celtics have a much better head coach.
The Celtics head coach might be my favorite in the league.
He's a former Butler guy, right?
Yes, he won, did not win. He was in the national championship with Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward missed a half court shot to
Yeah.
almost beat him. Um, he's always been a fundamentally sound, calm, just nice almost guy. Uh, he knows how to coach.
76.
Obviously, he's not the best coach in the world.
Not even close. Shot 93.
Oh wow.
It's your fault.
All right.
It's all your fault.
I'm in the middle of the podcast, Dad.
Whatever.
I'll give some context because I don't like editing that much, so I always just throw in full videos.
Yeah.
Um, So not to deviate, I was listening to what you're saying. Like he's a very good coach, and I really like
Right. Well,
the
Greg
Celtics guys.
Popovich is a better coach. Anyway,
Yes, but
that's
Greg
all.
is also at the end. I think this guy could be the next Greg, or I think this guy could be the next Greg. Before we talk about the Raptors and the Net versus the Nets, my dad this morning, I walked downstairs, and so maybe a week ago, he went and played at Finley at UNC, the golf course,
Yeah.
and he was wearing a UNC polo, and I thought it was cool. He's going there, plays in a UNC polo at the UNC course. Well, he shoots a 79, which to my dad is a very good day. Right?
That is a very good day.
It's a
Yeah.
very good day for an amateur. Like,
Right.
he's usually an 80s guy. Like, he's not horrible, but he's like 79 is a good drop for him.
Yeah.
Well, this morning I walked downstairs and he's wearing the NC State polo that he got when my brother entered college. And I looked at him and I was like, take it off. Like, that's horrible.
Right.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
And so as he's leaving the house, I was like, all right, if you shoot anything worse than a 79, you know what it is. You know you got the bad
Right.
juju on you. And so he just came in and he made the joke that he shot a 76.
Are you serious?
And then he was like, "Oh no, I meant 93." And I was like, "Ah, yeah."
Yeah.
All the
right.
story, NC State is poopers. All about
Yeah.
UNC, baby. Anyways,
That's
back
funny.
to what we're talking about. 76ers, I think they have a couple pieces missing. One, I think, is a head coach. Two, I think, is a scoring guard. And then Celtics, I love the way they play. It's like everyone can dribble the ball, everyone can shoot threes, everyone can score anywhere. It's
Yeah.
a cool team.
You know, the Celtics have good potential upcoming years as well.
Yeah, I think Jason Tatum, once he becomes full on like Mamba mentality, it's game. Like once he can score like Kobe did, like because that's his big thing. I think he's a big Kobe fan.
Yeah, one of my friends said that he's going to be the next Kobe, and I have I can't disagree with that right now.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, sure, why not?
he's fun to watch. All right, Raptors Nets. I want to start this off with what a job by the Raptors. Like Kawhi left, and they were like, "Who cares?
Right.
Who cares? We're gonna still be good. We're gonna still be a good basketball team."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they're defending world champs.
And the second in the East to Giannis, like at the beginning of the season, if you told me they finished second in the East, I'd tell you you're smoking crack. Because but it makes you wonder how much Kawhi actually did for that championship team.
It's kind of like Kawhi kind of did them dirty, like honestly.
Yeah, it was basically a 1-year deal.
Right, and I mean, I don't know. It's tough to go to a team, win the national championship, and be done there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, let me go start a new
Super team.
super team. Yeah, like okay, Kawhi. Kind of made me lose a little bit of respect for him.
Yeah, I always thought Kawhi was I thought he was gonna play for the Spurs for his whole career, but I get how that fell apart. Like it just didn't work out. He didn't.
Right.
It wasn't the right fit for him in the end. But I mean, like, I don't know. I also think it was done dirty. I would have committed a couple more years to the Raptors, especially with how well they're doing now.
I was about to say right now he's kind of like, oh shit. Like,
I will say, the way he's doing it now, if he wins the championship, it'll be very impressive because it's like he's winning it in the West, which is typically the harder conference.
right. But he's also winning it with Paul George.
He is. And also, if he went with the Raptors, I think it's an easier chance to win the NBA championship because it's an easier path.
Right.
And I'm also of the opinion of if you win, you win. Who cares what conference you won it from?
Right.
Like,
Nobody talks about that. Yeah, nobody talks about that.
Exactly.
Especially in 15 years, you're not going to say, "Oh, the Raptors won, but they're from the East." You're not going to say that. You're going to say the Raptors won the championship in 2019. And
yeah. Also, while we're on the topic, the police officer who was a dirtball basically to I want to say, God, is he the owner of the Raptors or the GM of the Raptors? Executive, yeah. God, that police officer, get in the can, man.
What happened with that? What was the backstory behind that?
So the Raptors won the series in Golden State, right?
Right.
And I want to his last name's Ujiri, I think. I'm probably mispronouncing that, and I might be off on that. But he's an African. Well, he's a black man. I don't know what's
Right.
the correct way to say it anymore, but he's a black man, and he was going to get on the court to see his team, and so he's coming down from the press box, and he's walking along like behind one of the hoops,
Yeah.
and there's body cam footage of the
Right.
security guard, and he's like stopping him. And the guy's like, no, like I'm the executive, blah, blah, blah. And the bodyguard like fully like shoves him. And it's like, all right, first of all, why did you shove him?
Yeah.
If that was anybody else, like, would you shove someone? Just tell them no, they can't go by, and then hear their reasoning and let them go. Like, why would you shove
Right.
someone? And then two, it's like, dude, like, it's just so stupid.
What was this after they had already won?
Yes, he was trying to get on the court for the celebration, I think.
Okay, so it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me because do you think it had anything to do with they just won?
Yeah, that's. I was also thinking that.
Because like how passionate are the security guards about their own team?
I'm
You
sure
know?
they like their team, but I'm probably
Right, but
they're probably told not to like lose their junk when
it's
someone
just
wins.
such a like what the crap situation.
Yeah,
Like really?
yeah,
I
like
don't know. It's such a strange, just out of the blue situation that just
boiled over.
doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of these situations where like, because it is, I do want to point out that it very well could have been racially charged. I mean, like if he was a white executive, he'd probably get let through.
Yeah.
For being honest, he would, like, because he'd just walk right through. But one of my big things is like with a lot of these issues that we see is like, how much is it someone just getting pissed off? Like someone like, and also like, is there not levels to like how these interactions should go? Like police, security, whoever. Is there not levels? Like it should start off calm and it should stay calm for as long as it can until something escalates it.
Right.
Like,
And
I don't
even
know.
when something escalates, it is the police. It is their job to
De-escalate.
de-escalate.
Exactly.
That is their number one. I mean, I hate to get into this topic right now, but
Yeah.
like
Well,
that
we'll
is
just
their
hit on
number
it.
one job is to de-escalate the problem. And the problem that we're seeing in America is they're automatically escalating the problem.
Yeah.
That's all they know is, I don't know what to do. And I understand that it's a very stressful situation, but they should be taught. They should, know how to de-escalate the problem instead of using violence to solve it.
Yeah. And I think that whole situation was just horrible. And I think that I hope the security guard, I think he's already been fired. It's horrible how it all happened. And it's amazing that all this stuff came out only like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. I think they finally released the body cam footage.
Yeah, they did.
I don't know what the issue was with why it wasn't released, but I just think it's homeboy needs to get some extra sleep.
Such a crazy situation that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, because also it's not like you can say he didn't look like an executive. I mean, the man
Well,
was dressed in a
showing him
suit.
the card.
Yeah, he was showing him the card. He was dressed in a suit. Like, do you want him to like sign his name 3 times so you can check his signature? Like,
Right.
I don't know. I think it's ignorant. But yeah, so those are our picks, and we'll run through them. We think the Lakers are going to win. Rockets are going to win. We're split on the Nuggets and Jazz, so we'll see about that one. We'll see who gets that one right. Clippers, we think are going to win. Bucks are going to win. We think the Heat are going to win. Celtics are going to win because it's already 3-0. And Raptors. So those are our calls. The only one really in contention is Nuggets and Jazz.
Yeah.
We'll probably update this every week as like it continues to develop.
Well, yeah, and it's also first round NBA playoffs. I mean, normally the whole game, the 7-game layout of the NBA playoffs, the better team always wins normally. And so in the first round, it's kind of hard to argue against the better team. So.
Yeah, it's not like it's not like NFL where like one field goal could change the layout of the playoffs.
Right, or it's not like the March Madness because one game,
Yeah. Switching topics. Honestly, I was going to say that the NBA playoffs was a smaller topic, but we'll go on to the structure of American sports is what I put down. And what I want to talk about is like how American sports are like pay to play. A big thing in American sports is pay to play. And I think that the system is flawed mainly because it marginalizes people who can't pay.
Right.
And so I just want to get your opinion because obviously like there's the big American meritocracy where we're like, well, if you're really good, you'll get out of it.
Right.
Like if you're that good, you will climb out. But there's also situations where it's like maybe the kid's not the all-star, but he's very, very good, has the potential if he's put in a good situation to get a lot better.
Right.
His parents can't pay for this upgrade in soccer or the upgrade in basketball, and so he's stuck at the level he's at.
Yeah.
So what do you think, Carter, about how American sports is set up?
We've kind of touched on this before.
Yeah.
But in my I understand. I think basketball is the easiest to come out of. Not really the easiest, but you see it the most common of people that come from, lower income families do get out of it. And obviously you still have to, it's not cheap, and that's not always the case of you can get out of it. But I think that's the most common for whatever reason. I don't know why.
I think it's honestly down to like the way basketball is set up. Because if you think about it on a like cost to play and like an opportunity to play, I think basketball you have the best chance.
Right. Well, and the cost of basketball is not as expensive as, golf, where you have to pay for clubs, you have to pay to play golf or football. Like basketball, all you need is, shoes, a basketball, and then a place to play, a park or something. That's how you get started into the sport. So I think that, you don't have to have all the equipment to get started in the sport of basketball than you do other sports.
Yeah. And also, I mean, every park in America, obviously this is hyperbolic, but every park in America basically has a hoop.
Right, exactly.
Not every park has a golf course. Not every park has because a lot of parks have fields, but how many parks have football?
Right. No, I mean, and you can't just go out there and play football, like pick up football game. I mean, you can, but not really.
Yeah,
pick up
basketball
is
is
not
like
the same as pick up basketball.
Yeah, exactly. And basketball, like if you're by yourself and you have a hoop and a basketball, you can play basketball.
Right.
Whereas in football, you have a football and you're by yourself, and you're just working out, and you're holding a football.
High school sports are a lot of times unfair. So, you have public school, which works, it gets people to go to college, but then you have these private schools, these academies that, you're being taught around people that are probably going to be successful in the sport. So you're not the only superstar, you're getting taught different things than these people that are just public high school basketball and in public high school sports. So like you can go to college, by just playing public school basketball or public school sports.
Yeah.
But if you want to take that a step above, you have to pay to go to academy, to go to private school that, focus on that sport.
Yeah.
So I think that's where it becomes unfair is that not everybody's being taught the same thing, and not everybody's around the same sort of atmosphere with that sport.
Yeah. I think high school, one thing I've always thought high school sports has is high school sports, like you said, it kind of highlights the inequality in America. Like, it's very easy to see the high schools that are good at something, are good at certain sports, are typically because they have more investment and they have more opportunity
Right.
for investment. That's not saying that the school in a lower income area can't be a good sports team, because obviously there are. Usually they have good sports teams in their own right. But like, if you look at schools like Ravenscroft, no, I don't know how good they are in their actual sports, but they have the funds to be good if they want.
Yeah.
They could redirect the money. And you hear like, um, I think the basketball team, I think the basketball school is Word of God or Holy Spirit, and it's in Raleigh, and that's where John Wall came out of. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's like a basketball school. Like
Right.
that school is, that is, at that school you are an athlete student, not a student athlete.
Right.
Like public schools, you're a student athlete, whereas at every other school you're an athlete student.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So like growing up in my conference in high school, playing tennis, which is an expensive sport um, on its own. But we play kids from around my area, which is not necessarily a high income area. But then you play kids when you go to regionals. You play kids from the Charlotte area. They're just boom, another level up. It's not fair.
yeah,
Kids come from wealthy families, wealthy areas. These high schools are massive. They got the coach that actually plays tennis. They have people around them that actually play tennis. They have tennis facilities in their communities. Like there's two sets of tennis courts in my county. One of them is hardly playable. The other ones are my high school courts, which aren't great courts either.
yeah,
And then so it's just there's that separation of like tennis atmosphere
mm-hmm.
that gives the people that grew up in a different area an advantage over my high school.
Yeah,
in that sport.
Yeah, I
And
think,
that's in every sport.
yeah, exactly. And one thing to mention with this is like, it's not just like a difference in equipment, because at the end of the day, the equipment is just what gets you on the field,
Right.
the court, all that. But like, I think a big thing is also the difference in time, like free time you're given. Like for a kid whose parents like make X amount of money that's in the higher brackets of taxes and stuff, they're going to have more free time to go to a court or to go to somewhere and practice. Whereas a kid who like parents are struggling and they need money, then that kid will probably have to work. And so that kid is splitting time between school, sports, and work.
Right.
And that's time you could be spending like becoming the next great basketball player. And
Yeah.
like, just to piggyback on what you said, is like, with cross country, I ran, now my conference wasn't fantastic, but like they were wealthy schools. And one thing you could always notice is my school was not as wealthy as they were, but we weren't horribly off. We were probably like smack dab in the middle.
Yeah.
But we were like, for our school is like, we buy the uniforms. Everyone has to buy the uniforms first couple weeks of the season. And then
Yeah.
that's the uniform. Like you don't get a special one or anything. And then I compete and I make it to states. And it's just like throughout the whole season, I see a team wear one uniform, and then they would have a second uniform, and then they have a third uniform.
Yeah.
And it's like, and especially with cross country, I walk up past their tent and they have like the newest tent. They have fold out benches.
They got seats.
They have seats, everything. And I'm walking over to my team and I'm like, so I'm going to lay on my bag
Right.
and hopefully a
We have
soft part of
tarp.
grass.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a tarp. And we have a tent. It doesn't say our school name on it, but we have a tent.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't know. There's some schools like God, if I could give an example, like I remember one year I ran or I went and watched, I think it was regionals, Nike cross country regionals, which is a huge race. And Gibbons had their regular jersey was like the stereotypical green jersey. And to be fair, they didn't have many alternates, but they had the stereotypical like green shield, all that.
Mhm.
And then you're not allowed in North Carolina schools when you race in what are considered out of state meets, which are basically like it's more than just North Carolina racing
Right.
itself. You have to wear like you can't represent your school, which first of all, I think that's a stupid rule. You can't represent your school. And so they had like new jerseys, but like they had everything, their whole uniforms, all of them matched. And I was like, if I wanted to do that with my team, that would be a headache trying to get everyone to
Right.
have the same singlet, everyone to have the same shorts, and everyone to have like it's a whole thing. I think wealth is huge in high school.
I'm gonna put you on the spot because I don't know the answer. How do you fix this problem? What's
How
the
to
solution?
fix it? Um, I don't. I've realized this in the last couple weeks. I don't like doing this because I think a lot of Americans do it where they're like, "Oh, we should do it like Europe." I think that's a huge flaw because I think America isn't Europe and it's hard to compare it to Europe.
Yeah.
And obviously, I don't know the economic setup of European sports, especially youth sports. But I'm a big fan of well, first of all, education needs more funding. I'm just going to start it with that. Education
Okay.
needs more funding, whether it goes to sports or not.
Especially in North Carolina.
Oh, yeah. Teachers get paid horribly here for how much they do. But I know we don't like the academy system, but I think if academies played in a different, I think they need to separate it. So like academies are their own thing, and then high schools play against themselves. So if you go to IMG Academy in Florida, you play against other academies.
Right.
Because clearly you have an advantage, and you should only play the people who have the same advantage.
Right.
Instead of just stomping on every other Florida school. And then high schools, like I like the idea that conferences are split up. Like Rollsville doesn't have to race against Catholic schools, except for Gibbons because they have a whole extra rule that goes towards them.
Yeah.
But honestly, I think it's a top-down thing. I think a cool idea would be an NBA team like the Wizards can set up an academy, and it's called the Washington who cares and Washington Merlins, and they play, and it's like a system. So like a 12-year-old can join the Washington Merlins and play up until the point where they're graduating from high school.
Yeah.
And then they go straight to either the Wizards or they can go somewhere else, and that's their call. Like they can choose where to go, because it's like that's how European soccer is. Like at 8 years old, you join Real Madrid's academy, and then you play, and you get to like 18 years old. And if Real Madrid wants you to join the first team, you join the first team. If they want you to play a couple more years, you play, and then you eventually get into the first team.
Right.
And I think that's a better system because I think it gives the kids a more structured path.
Right. Can you join like say, all right, I don't know that I'm good at basketball until I'm 14 years old. But then I realize, oh, I can play. Can I join then?
Yeah, you can join at any point. At any point.
And is this I mean, obviously you're gonna have to pay, correct?
It would be a pay system, but I also that's what I meant by like I don't know how much it costs.
Right.
I don't know if it's a bigger pay to play, but from the understanding I get is like I think you get more help. So like if you're a really good soccer player, you'll get more help from the club to keep you around because they want to keep you around.
Right.
So
I can see that.
I'm not saying that's a perfect fix to like it's like boom, academy, the world is perfect.
Right.
There's obviously issues with that. Like there have been issues of like because you have to technically sign contracts at like 13. You don't get paid, but it's like, hey, you can only play for this club for X
Yeah.
amount of years. And there's all these issues with like visas having problems. Some clubs sign kids too young, and you're not supposed to
Right.
sign them that young. So there's a whole issues. I don't know. I think it'd be better. I think it would give everyone a better structure to get to the highest level.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's like with all issues, it's definitely hard to fix. And
Yeah, and it's not like
especially, with it being an economic issue.
Yeah.
Like a capitalist country is always going to have those economic issues like that.
Yeah, like it's always going to be the cream rises to the top.
Right. But, it's just it sucks, but it's a tough situation.
Yeah, and also one thing I want to point out is, especially now, a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, this one thing would fix everything." It's like, well, no, it wouldn't.
Right.
You also don't know what that one thing is going to have problems with.
Right.
Like the whole universal health care. Now, I'm a big fan of it because I think we have enough money as a country for it to be a thing. But I also think like there are issues in countries that have universal health care that are probably going to piss Americans off.
Right. Yeah. I mean, any solution is going to come with its own consequences.
Yeah. It's like you're never going to get to this perfect ideological world where it's all going to work out.
A utopian society is perfect,
It's
but it's not
communism.
reality.
It's communism, Karl Marx. No.
Yeah.
All right, I want to touch on this quickly. The Champions League is finishing tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow, Sunday. It plays Sunday. It is between Paris Saint-Germain, the French club, and Bayern Munich. And Carter, I know this is probably gibberish, but
yeah.
they they're the two biggest clubs in their respective regions, and I want to hit on a couple points here that I thought about. One, I am proud of both of these clubs for being this far because there's a big joke in world soccer that a certain league is called a farmer league, which is basically like it's so bad that like farmers play it. Like, oh, like there's only one good team, all the other teams are garbage. Like it's not competitive. And these two teams come from so-called farmer leagues. So I first want to say props to them for doing this. Two, I think the way they handled the tournament with the pandemic was genius. They created a bubble in God, I don't know where they did the Champions League, but I know they did the Europa League, which is like the step down from it. They did that in Germany, and they basically had a bubble in Germany, which was, again, I think the best way you can do this. And the tournament was good, but it lacked some of what it had. But obviously, every sport has like the NBA has been good, but it's not like Dame doesn't hit that 30-foot shot and the arena erupts. Like that's the part that sucks is there's no fans. But yeah, finals tomorrow. Just for the record, I think I already posted on my Instagram. I think Paris Saint-Germain's going to win. I think they're a banging club, and I'd like to see them win because I like to see the French team win. And then Bayern, I think, is also fun to watch, but I don't want them to win because I don't really like Bayern Munich. But anyways, Carter, do you have anything to add to the topic?
No, I don't.
But yeah, I don't know. Soccer is a fun sport. If you're watching the podcast at this point and you don't watch it, I would recommend watching it. It is something you got to get used to. It's definitely a different viewing experience than the NFL, where it's like play, 30-second play, 30-second play. Anyways, we talked about this yesterday, and this is actually a topic I'm excited to talk about. And I don't know how long we'll talk about it for, but we're gonna go. NBA draft, Carter.
Okay.
What do you think about it all? Timberwolves got the first pick, Warriors got the second pick, and oh god, I don't remember. Hornets got the third pick.
We got the third pick. Finally, something good. Our mock draft is LaMelo. No, I hate them. I'm not a fan of the Ball brothers. But you know what? If he comes into Charlotte and he makes something happen, I'm gonna have to get on the LaMelo wagon, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, yeah. So, anyways, Cole Anthony, which is
This is an
funny to
interesting
see.
one we want to talk about.
Yeah, 16th is his mock draft. Now, coming into the season last year, Cole Anthony, best player in the nation, whatever. He wanted to go number one in the draft. Obviously, that's everybody's main goal at his age. But even okay, yeah, he's probably not going to go one. Now he's shooting okay. That's fine. I can still probably go top 5. He's 16th. Cam Johnson and Kobe White both went higher than 16th, which means that Kobe White. It just proves that Kobe White was not as good as everybody thought he was.
You mean Cole Anthony's not as good as everyone thought he was?
What'd I say?
You said Kobe White.
Yeah, I know. No. Yes, Cole Anthony is not as good as
Yeah.
I thought he was. I hate to say, I told you so, but I think I told you so. Not
Yeah.
necessarily me, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. I think I agree with you. I think Cole Anthony, I'm not going to say another season would have fixed the issue. I'm not going to say that.
Right.
I think partially he did get screwed over by how bad UNC was this year.
Right.
They weren't great. I mean, Obi Topin, I think is the guy. Big small forward, probably I think he's 6'8". Plays for Dayton.
Yeah.
I mean,
okay,
half the reason he was getting a lot of coverage was also the fact that Dayton was very good this year.
Good. Yeah.
If the pandemic hadn't happened, I honestly could have seen them making it to the Elite Eight or something.
Right.
And he was a big part of that too, because I mean, he's a great player. But yeah, I think Cole's situation's tough because the pandemic and how bad UNC was this year, I think, was really what screwed him.
Yeah.
But also, I don't know. I think it could have. I think there are things he could have done as well. I'm not going to say it wasn't his fault at all, but there's stuff he could have done as well that I think would have made him a better player.
UNC was bad, yes. Him being better would have made UNC better.
That's true.
He did not live up to his hype at all. At all. Everybody thought that he was going to be the best player in college basketball, and he simply was not.
No. I'll say this right now. I think his best game was Notre Dame. First game of the season was that 34-point game. But also a big thing I thought of with this is twofold. I think I don't think this is a good year to be a point guard in the draft. I think a lot of teams in the NBA have point guards that are injured or coming back, or they figured out a point guard. Because personally, I don't think LaMelo should go top 3, purely on the fact that the top 3 teams have point guards.
Right. Exactly.
So I think that's one issue. But also, I think Cole could have done with a little bit better if he was a little more well-rounded. He was a good rebounder. He was a good shooter. He was a good rebounder and scorer. But I think a little more defense, a little more grit in his game to play defense.
A little more
better
leadership.
assists. Yeah. Yeah. That being said, I also want to point out we are UNC students, and so we will have harsher views of players than probably national media of UNC players,
right.
Not of every player. Because, to the outside world, everyone probably thinks, well, Cole Anthony's spectacular, and he is a good player. But to a UNC student, it's like, well, you did us dirty.
You didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah. And that's why, one thing I think is funny is that, when they show highlights, and they do this for other players too, but when they show highlights of Cole Anthony, it's always high school highlights.
Right. Exactly.
They maybe show, the dunk against State, and then everything else is high school highlights.
Or the block against Oregon.
Yeah. And it's that's tough. Because especially if someone not UNC wasn't at school last year at UNC, let me just tell you something. The most loved player on that team, it wasn't Cole Anthony. I can tell you that right now. Wasn't Leaky Black because man did not have a good season.
No.
It was not God, what's his name? Point guard, short white guy, number 3.
And Andrew Playtech.
It was not Andrew Playtech. Honestly, it was Armando Bacot.
It was a freshman, Armando Bacot, that took over the campus. Like,
Dude, he was a double-double guy. It was him and Garrison Brooks.
Garrison
If you
Brooks. Now,
went
Garrison
around,
Brooks-
those would be the 2 names you hear.
Garrison Brooks was the best player we had last season. But that's not
Yeah.
You're saying who was the most loved.
Exactly.
And it's like Kobe White. Just for some reason, the campus, the student body just gets these relationships with these players. Like Kobe White, he's here for a year. And when his name comes on the Jumbotron, when his picture comes on the Jumbotron, people go more crazy when his name is up there rather against like Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Like when people see Michael Jordan, you hear, woo. When you see Kobe White up there, the whole student body goes crazy because these students love them. And Armando Bacot is the next, is that, connection between student body and team, same as Kobe White.
Yeah. I think and honestly, I couldn't tell you why. He's kind of a meme, which I think is a big part of it, is he's just like, he's funny to like –
He's goofy.
Yeah, he's goofy. Like, he's funny to throw him. He's got the hairdo. He's just the way he's built. He's like 6'10", and
Right.
he's just very like, oof, like he's massive.
Right.
And it's just like, and also from what I've heard, he's a great guy.
Yeah, he seems almost down to earth.
Yeah. I think, an interesting topic one of these days would be like, make a Mount Rushmore of like not best players at UNC, but like most loved. Because that'd be an interesting one. Because I think you have to put Luke May on it. Because Luke May is like
Luke May,
the university's child.
right? I think I can maybe do this right now.
No, we'll save it for another one because I think this would be a good like big topic. Like we could talk about it for like 20 minutes. But back to NBA draft stuff. I'll be probably the Debbie Downer in the group of all the analysts that talk about this, but I think if I'm the Hornets, I don't take LaMelo. I take a big, or I take that Obi Toppin guy. I'm messing up his name. I already know it. I would take him mainly because I would invest in Devontae Graham.
Okay.
Because is LaMelo going to be a good player in the NBA? Yes, I think so. But if you have LaMelo, you might have to it might not work with Devontae.
But then again, you're seeing like two point guard teams sometimes work.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Kemba Walker went to the Celtics who didn't need a point guard. It's working.
It's working.
Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, even
Marcus
Jason
Smart.
Tatum, Marcus Smart, even Jason Tatum, who could possibly play point guard if he was needed. Like, it works. But, then again, the Hornets just need somebody. And I think somebody not only with good skill, but I also think somebody with a big name could help the Hornets even more than the best skill could at this point. We need our name out there. We need highlights. We need people to want to come to Charlotte because right now Charlotte is a graveyard.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It's like Zion to New Orleans.
Right. So I think somebody as big of a name as LaMelo Ball coming to Charlotte would be a good thing. But like I said, I'm not the biggest fan of him, but I wouldn't hate to see him in Charlotte.
Yeah. Obviously my standpoint is like I'm a GM. Like, you got to get the best team. Because in my opinion, I think if you have Devontae and you draft LaMelo, you have a chance of losing.
You're wasting money.
Yeah, you're going to lose one of them. At some point, you're going to drop one of them. It might work for 2 or 3 years, but then like it'll come down to the issue of who wants to dribble the ball more. And so that's why I think if you're the Hornets, you draft someone like a wing or a big, someone who like Devontae Graham can do pick and rolls with. He can do pick and pops with. He can just someone who else can take the ball, but doesn't necessarily have to have the ball the whole game.
Right.
I think this draft pick is going to be overpowered for the Golden State Warriors. I think you pick a center. I don't think there's even a question.
Yeah.
Not a question of taking LaMelo is what I mean. Like it's center or big or some wing.
Right. Golden State Warriors, they need to be done, and they're not done. You know, everybody thought KD's gone. It's over. I'm afraid it's not. But I mean, obviously they had the worst. You know, they were one of the worst teams in the league this year. But Clay was hurt. Steph was hurt. Draymond Green was hurt. That's 1, 2, and 3. Like, you know, still if I'm playing 2K, I want the Warriors because, you know, the players aren't hurt on 2K right now. So
I know what you mean. Like, there's still that's what I'm saying. Like, if say they draft a guy, I know Andrew Wiseman, I think is the big center in this draft.
Right.
Say they draft him, which I think they should because I don't think the Timberwolves should because you already have Cat, you already have the big. If you draft Wiseman, and let's just say he is good to, or he's average to above average. Well, now you have a good to above average center, an all defensive power forward, and a great facilitator. You have Andrew Wiggins at 3, which is still, he's a good player. You have Clay at 2, and you have Steph at 1. You're telling me that's not a good enough team to possibly go back and win another championship? Like, you take away Wiggins and the 5, and you still had a team that won the championship.
Yeah.
So I think you go center. I think you lock up your ability to rebound so that you can rebound and shoot another 3.
Yeah. Yeah. If I was a New York Knicks fan, I'd probably have a broken hand right now. Like, good.
No, dude. The Knicks, oh my goodness. They're the Cleveland Browns. I'm just going to say it right now. They're the Cleveland Browns.
And they used to be people used to want to go to New York. Like KD wanted to go to New York, but he went to Nets. Like,
dude, the Knicks.
It's just sad.
And it's not a player thing. I want to point that out. It's not a player thing for the Knicks because they've had good players on their team and it doesn't work.
Right.
It's a structural, fundamental. It's the Cleveland Browns. They need to clear house. They need to switch up something. They need to renovate the whole place. Keep Madison Square Garden because that place is beautiful.
Right.
Switch the whole place. Dude, they need, like, top down. Just start ripping crap down. James Dolan needs to sell the team. I know Stephen A. Smith always makes jokes about it. I know Spike Lee is always a big person on it. But James Dolan, get rid of the team. Sell it to someone who cares.
Something. Oh, I'm telling you, I would have a broken hand if I was that bad.
And it'd probably be my 3rd broken hand, considering they missed Zion and they had to get R.J. Barrett instead, which is a good player. Oh, God, dude. But, I mean, I'm a Wizards fan, so I also was kind of sad. We only had a 6% chance, though, so it wasn't like we were going to get the 1st overall pick.
Yeah.
But, I mean, we're right behind the Knicks, and we were in the bubble. Like, are you serious?
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the lottery system. I think it's –
I don't like that either. It's kind of unfair.
I think it kind of should be the NFL, like worst team goes first, second worst team, third worst team, fourth worst team. Go all the way up till you get to the best team.
It makes it interesting and kind of fun, but I think it's a little unfair.
Because then you get like
Golden State.
Yeah, and then you can also get like a team like the Knicks who it's like they have the luck of, I don't know, something unlucky, and they just keep and they just keep going further down.
And they can't, climb back.
Yeah, because, I mean, you can't tell me if the Knicks didn't get Zion. Like, this might have been a very different year for the Knicks.
Yeah.
just purely from the fact that people would actually want to watch their games and not put
Right.
them on to fall asleep.
And it comes back to the big name, which is why Charlotte needs a big name.
Charlotte does need a big name. I think LaMelo could be that big name. Who knows? Maybe Devontae Graham and him can work it out. Maybe
Yeah.
Devontae is more of an off the ball, turns into more of an off the ball shooter. But yeah, this one might have run a little bit long. I'm not actually quite sure when we started, but
I think it did. I think it was like 15 minutes long, honestly.
yeah. But I mean, we took a lot of time with the NBA playoffs, and I love talking the NBA. I think it's amazing,
Especially right now. Right now,
it's-
it's cool.
exactly. But yeah, I talked Unwritten Rules of Baseball, talked NBA playoffs, talked American sports, high school sports, and how all that's a whole system. I touched on the Champions League real quick. Me and Carter talked about the NBA draft and LaMelo Ball being a possible draft pick for someone, as he probably will, whether we talked about it or not. Anyways,
It's fun.
this has been fun. This has been ebook. This has been
CPAT.
High five. Let's see if we can do it for the second episode. in a row. All right.
Wait. Fist bump. I
Fist
got
bump.
it now because I'm good.
Yeah. Gosh, tell me that isn't someone. Maybe I'll screenshot that and post that on my Instagram. That's the hardest pick of 2020.
Yep.
Carter, do you have any final closing remarks?
Go Portland.
Go Portland.
Yep.
The king is going to get his throne. That's what I'm going to say. I don't know. Leave it up to you to figure out who the king is. Who
I
knows?
know who the king is. I know exactly what you're saying.
But anyways, it's been ebook and CPAT. Thank you for watching to this point. To all three of our viewers that are watching to this point,
That's right.
and
Hey.
boy, and we might have shirts coming out soon. Boy.